All right. Just waiting for the see the full broadcast, and then we'll be ready to go. All right, everybody should. I think we are live right now. I'm looking at us live. All right. I think everybody should have been able to hit the live button. All right. Oh, 10E. Let me give you let me sing you the let me sing you the background. I'm gonna send it to you in the chat. In the chat. All right. Can you see it? Can you see it in the chat, Ed? Yeah. All right. So we'll go. Good night, everyone. Welcome to Fatherhood Talks. For those who don't know, this is a weekly conversation for fathers. We hope to touch the spectrum of fathers from all walks of life. Today's topic is that's just my baby daddy topic. So it should be pretty interesting to say the least. Right now, I'm going to go around and let the fathers who are in the chat tonight, in the room, introduce themselves and say that, as normal, what we say, just your name and the number of children you have. And then we'll come back and get started, a conversation.
Gene Robert, 2 kids, 118, 126.
Justin, I have 4 kids. I have a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, almost 2-year-old, and a 3-month.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Yonel. I have 5 kids, 1 24, 1 going to be 19 September, 1 12, 1 10, 1 9.
Okay.
Richard Adams. Got 3 kids, 24, 15, and 9. And a grandson. So just 23.
All right, great.
Thomas Alberry, 2 grown kids and 5 grands.
Mm-hmm.
My grown kids are in their 40s.
Okay. All right, Elder Tom.
Yeah.
Donald Jones, divorcing, father of 2. Daughter's the oldest. He's 12 going on 13, and the son, that's 11 years old.
All right, great.
Rohan Rodok. I'm a father of 2 girls, one 14 and one 16.
Fritz Jean Mary, father of 2 boys. One is 8 years old and the other is 5.
Mm-hmm.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's on you. Go ahead.
My name is Ed Tinney. I have 3 biologicals, 3 stepchildren. They range in ages from 11 to 31.
All right, and so I think that's everybody. And most of you guys know I'm Ron. I kind of facilitate our group, and I have a daughter. Uh, she's she's grown. She's not grown, but she's grown. She's 8 years old, but like she's almost 18 or 82, 82. All right, so let's get into tonight's topic. And a part of tonight's topic is it was kind of like, we came up with this topic. It's just my baby daddy. But I know for some of us that might seem like that doesn't fit for me because I'm not a baby daddy. And so the first question I have for the fathers around the table is, what is this? What do you understand this word baby daddy to mean? How do you understand it? Do you use it? And if you don't use it, what word do you use to describe yourself in relationship to as I say, mother of your child or your baby's mama, as we would say? How are you defining that? How is that looking? What do you feel about that? What's your thoughts about it? And anybody can jump in there first.
Well, this done. First off, I don't like that terminology be about the baby mama, baby daddy stuff. Like I said, I'm a divorcing father. And anytime she would say something like that to my children, I would tell them I'm your father. I'm not a baby's daddy. I'm the one that cares for you. I'm the one that's been here since day one. And even if I wasn't, as long as I'm taking care of you, I'm still being a father and not a daddy. Because how it was given to me for the terminology, a father takes care of their children, but a daddy makes babies. Even though we still call our fathers daddy, it's a term of endearment for our own personal being. But for the term itself, what I was taught, a father will take care of his children no matter what. A daddy, just make them, just like a dog. You just there. It is what it is.
Okay.
I agree with that. I think it's when you just say baby daddy, baby mama, it's a distancing thing. It kind of it takes away from the actual significance of that parent, right? So I'm in consensus with Donald when he says, the term and the use of the term. Some people say, they use it as a term of endearment, but I mean, it's subjective. It's how you feel about it. That's what's important. And so, for me, just like Donald was saying, when you use the term baby daddy, it's kind of like offsetting, off-putting, giving that person just that title because they're not doing what they have to do. Or that, they even had a song about it. That's just my baby daddy. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that he had no real input or say or even importance in the life of the children.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes that away.
Wow.
I totally agree. Really.
I would like to add to that term baby daddy and baby mama. It depends on how you guys want to look at it. We have to look at cultures. Different cultures look at things differently. Some call it sperm donor, baby daddy, and many other terms are used. But let's for real. We have, as what Donald said, we have fathers who take the time to advocate, to be in their children's life, in their child's life, no matter what. And you have daddies who pay child support. I have a child and I pay $700 a month, and it's a car payment. So is it right to say baby daddy, or is it right to say father? It would apply in a situation where some fathers are not present. They would fall in the term of baby daddy. If as daddy, as what Donald mentioned earlier. So how I look at it, I'm not saying it fits every cap, fits every head. I'm just saying that term will continually exist because of the roles we men play in our children's life.
Well, I mean, what you mean? What you mean by that, Rohan? That because I have always thought that word to be derogatory, and I'll tell you why I've always seen it as derogatory, because it has been used as a term of what I've kind of seen as sexualization. Because when the first people start talking about it, it's really based on the sexualization of that person. When you hear people kind of use it and they're using it in a positive, and the only positive term is, yeah, oh, that's gonna be my baby daddy. And the reality is that it kind of talks almost to this point of, I don't want no relationship with them. I want to have some type of sexual relationship with them. Not even thinking about the result of that is saying, I'm going to have so much sex with them that I'm going to produce a child in some sense. And that to me almost seems like, hey, that is not how children should be being produced. We should not be producing children based on this idea of my sexual appetite or what have you, and then also it becomes kind of trendy and it's easy for people to use. But if you think of the comparison of saying, oh, that's just my baby daddy, compared to saying, this is the mother of my child, you have to first respect the person in some sense to say that this person, like, that's my daughter's mother, and these kind of terms. So you're putting the emphasis on the relationship that you have with that person. How I'm kind of seeing that whole baby mama, baby daddy thing. I've always been very, it's always sent me the wrong way, because I think it's sent the wrong message, especially when we're looking for fathers to really be here in their children's lives.
Well, as a child advocate, and we all are, I'm not here to ruffle feathers. I'm here to put it and put opinion so we all can think about how this works. We know that some folks meet one night and have sex, whether they were inebriated, whether they were having fun at the party, and a child comes into play. What happens then when the child is here, and I don't know you, you're a stranger? How do we define that?
Well, you still don't define it as baby daddy, baby mama. You're still going to be parents. You see what I'm saying? You take that step and you become parents. Now you step up to be the father of the child, and you step up to be the mother of the child. People like to think that just because the mother gives birth to the kid, they're going to be 100%. No, they're not. Sometimes it takes the father to step up and be 100% in order to have that mother be 100%, because both of you guys were in the same position at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It just means that both of you have to start to collaborate in order to make a better situation for the child that's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with all that was said. And I too, Ron, have thought about those terms to be derogatory.
Okay.
I agree with that as well. I think it's a derogatory term. I also think it's a ghetto term. I think it's I think Rohan mentioned culture. I think it's a cultural term that's been adopted in a ghetto scenario, and I think it's mainly used by individuals who, I don't know, for lack of a better way of saying it, who lack the maturity to identify themselves as a father or a mother, given their circumstances. And it's a way of, I think Robert mentioned, of disassociating yourself from your responsibility of what you actually are. When you say your baby daddy, it kind of lessens the actual inference of the father. And I don't know. I just think it's a ghetto term, and almost like nigga. When we say nigga in front of each other, it's a ghetto term, and I don't think it should be necessarily adopted by our culture, mainly because it denigrates the man as being what he is, a father. Lets him off the hook.
You know, and then the other part of the baby mama is like to say that this is just some chick having babies. I don't have any affection for her. I don't have any care for her. I don't have any concern for her. She's just like, you know, basically, let's just say she's like, you know, as we would say, a breed, somebody breeding something, you know. And so you have we're looking at this not as having a connection as two individuals in some kind of relationship. And what the part that, you know, that Ed brings out, a really important part that I think about is that what happens culturally. What happens is a term that may be used that we glamorize or we use in our own culture, then people in other cultures start to use it and popularize and, you know, make it popular. And then it comes back to only represent us because they can utilize those terms. Oh yeah, that's my baby daddy, but they're not seen as that. No one is saying that's taking their possession. We end up being left with that being our identity. They can come and use it. They can, oh yeah, oh look, my baby daddy. When they're married to the husband and they live in a nice big house over there on the nice side of the town, and be like, they can get on a microphone in front of all these prestigious people and say, well, to my baby daddy over there, and everybody laugh and joke it up. But that almost to me turns that they're really just using us as the joke, us as a people as a joke, because we utilize it as it's for real. That's our real life. And it's not, and this is what, you know, when we talk about that spectrum that we're on, that is not all our real life. There are only very few people who will even be in categories that would be related to being a baby daddy. You know, if we really looked on the spectrum, a lot of majority of these men who have kids, a lot of majority of them married. I've been married to the woman they had the kids with. Even if they weren't, they then got the woman pregnant and then got married to her. So there is no such thing as too much of a baby daddy in that instance. But again, we have a culture who likes to publicize, and the new way that you see it is BD. Is that it? BD or BG? Sometimes I have to understand what word that is on Instagram or whatever. What is that word that they're using? And I realized they're saying like baby daddy, baby mama.
Crazy part about it, Rondo, I believe that phrase been used way, way, way back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It just got really popularized in like 97, 98. I remember them dude be rocking the biz from Jacksonville. That term, as the elder stated, and as Mr. Maynard concurred, and everybody else concurred about the situation, it's a derogatory term towards every man that is a father and became a father by having a child. And yes, that baby mama moniker that people be using, I don't use it myself personally. It is basically saying that that woman is a breeder. And she's good for nothing else but being a breeder and providing children. That's it. The saddest part about this whole situation, and as the elder stated earlier, and I can't remember his name, and I do apologize, sir, it's a derogatory term on our community that's been popularized to seem cool. And it's not at all. But with the child rearing, even from my generation, that parents had, our elders that we had, most of these children parents or grown adult parents at this time were being their friends and continue to be their friend throughout their marriages, their relationships, anything that they're doing, because the first thing they try to tell them, especially if the man look good, you better make him your baby daddy. Or if the girl look good, you might want to have a child with her because she's going to have some pretty grandbabies for me. It's too many different variables that apply to this one situation that we're talking about.
I'm on board with that, Donald. There is so much variables involved in terms of, I see color, I see I see what they call, like, you know, those guys who have those big muscles. The list goes on. And is there an answer to change this norm? Maybe not.
But what you mean is the answer, Rohan? Yeah, I'm saying that. Listen, just like we have made the inference that people don't say the word nigga, and then they do this mysterious thing by saying the N word as if that's not saying nigga. Yeah, listen. Just say what a person is. That is that child. If you go to the school, if we know that if you saw my school, I'm not going to call the mother of a kid's that's it. That's the father's baby daddy, baby mama. I'm not going to say that as a professional. I'm going to say they're divorced. That is the child's mother. That's the child's father. Or I would say what happens is there's the wife, there's the husband. Then people say, we're not married, we're not husband and wife. Okay, then we'll use the term mother of the child, father of the child. We have to, if we don't set boundaries, if we keep saying, oh, it's okay, it's cute, it continue to be done. And it's only hurting us. Remember, the idea of the people who use it in popular culture, they can use it and then say it's just something we're using. It doesn't represent us.
Well, in response to all men here, we're people of feelings, and the way you feel this morning, the way you feel this afternoon, may be different the way you feel this evening. And I'm just putting it out there that people can say these feelings out of anger, out of wanting to hurt you. You're not but a baby daddy. So I'm not saying there's a right way, but all I'm saying is that we are feelings, and people use these terms with their feelings. Again, how you feel this morning, you may feel different this evening. I'm just putting it out there. But you're right. There is room for improvement. And hey, all those folks out there on the net, this is why we have these fatherhood talks. We go deep, we go into mindsets, we go into cultures, and we give answers that will advocate for the child, because at the end of the day, it boils down to raising that child with a better mindset.
I think there should be a deeper probe into what Brother Ron was saying earlier. It's like we will develop a language in our own culture, then it becomes appropriated by other cultures, but the negativity of that language remains with us, even though it gets appropriated, which begs the question, should we as a culture be changing our dialogue with one another to make sure that only if something's going to get appropriated, let it be something positive, let it be non-stereotypical, let it be for the advancement of our culture, as opposed to adopting some ghetto rap culturalized language. I mean, I get it, because sometimes, when we're hanging out with each other, we want to be able to bond verbally and be able to speak freely however we need to. But the problem is that our culture gets glamorized for the wrong reasons, and also our language gets glamorized and appropriated for the wrong reasons, and then we have to bear the brunt of the negativity of it all. I think a deeper discussion should be had as to, do we need to start elevating our verbal abilities between brothers with the assumption that somebody's always looking to take what we have and glamorize it for their own use.
Yeah, Ed, you I was having this conversation just the other day when somebody was getting upset, and they said, "Oh, they were saying how the white guy was riding playing this loud, vulgar rap music, right?" And she was saying they just love playing our music. And I said, no, they love playing their music. Because that music is for them. If you will rarely see a person riding around playing any music that will uplift us as a people. They won't be playing that. They're not gonna play no uplifting music that's talking about kings and queens. So the idea, if we didn't call each other nigga or baby mama and all those things, we was calling each other king, queen, You know, and this is the stream, and I'm using this as stream language. They wouldn't joke with that ever. They would never use it that. Then they would sometimes you would see them get offensive. That why you calling yourself a king and a queen, but you okay with me calling myself a baby daddy? Oh, nigga. What's the difference? The difference is one brings me down. The other one means that you would then use it and have to elevate me. And definitely you don't want to, you know, in many instances, I won't say people don't want to do that, but we have to do for ourselves. So, and I think there's a culture of people who use this language, the Imhotep culture and the I guess Black national, they use all this queen and king and all that language. They use it because it can't be demonized. You had never heard of somebody calling somebody a king as a bad word or a queen as a bad word. You just don't. You don't see that happening. And so when it's being utilized compared to, you know, Mother Earth, Father Earth, Mother Earth. Maybe if we change that to Mother Earth, Father Earth instead of baby daddy and baby mama, do you think people are going to be using that? No, they're not. They're not going to utilize that at all. We'll be utilizing it, and they'll be like, oh, but negativity, negative things that can, and I think it's just a culture of people feeling comfortable to put other people down. Even outside of looking at race or anything else, just an idea of people feel good putting other people down.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it a self-esteem thing? Because in order for you to use the term and me to be okay with it, I have to look at myself a certain way, right? And there is a culture there that doesn't mind that title. Yeah, that's just my baby mama. Yeah, that's my baby daddy. And they're okay with using that title with one another. And like I said, as a term of endearment. So then how is it that you view yourself? Because unless you tell the person, look, don't use that with me, that's not what I am, and you're okay with them continuously using it with you, then you're allowing the behavior. And in allowing the behavior, you're never going to affect the change, like Rohan was saying, you're never going to affect the change that is needed in order to eliminate such language like Tenny was referring to. Because until you start to change the mindset, and we say this a lot when we talk, until you start to change the mindset of the people using the language, you're gonna be very hard pressed to change the culture when using the language. Because it's gonna take a small pebble to start that tidal wave that's gonna make the biggest difference.
But it can happen. It can happen. Let me give you a perfect example how you know it can happen. And it's crazy that it had to happen this way. I was annoyed more than anybody else in the world when Black Panther came out. I hated that it came out. You know why? I love that the cartoon and the movie came out, all that. But you know what I hated? That everybody then had African garb on. Everybody, because I remember prior to that, people joking you, clowning you, saying, where you going? I remember that I had numerous African garb that I would wear to professional, to official events, and then people would be laughing and joking the whole time while I'm there. After Black Panther came out, it became normalized and okay that everybody could wear that. Even people that wasn't, but everybody got on some kind of kente cloth or something and another. And guess what? Now it is comfortable in our society. And when Black Panther 2 come out, we'll see a big rise again. People wearing the garment, wearing the stuff over and over. So it can happen. The problem is, I think it goes back to what you're saying, Robert. That was promoted by mass media. That was promoted by Marvel Comics. And they said it was okay to wear that. And so we then wore it. And we didn't feel uncomfortable because some of them wore it. Some of them, they wore it, so it made it comfortable for us to be able to do. And so those are the kind of things we really have to think about and process when we're looking at a word like baby daddy. Like, oh, that's baby daddy. How do we and what can we do to change that? Because the image, I mean, let me ask this question. You know what, this is a good question. Can anybody here on the screen, or guys who are in the group, in the room, tell me 1 to 2 things that's positive about being called a baby daddy. And I'll say this, what people can see on the screen, like and share. People can see on the screen is about 4 of us, 5 of us with our cameras, and then we have another 12 people. Well, not 12, but 6 people that's no cameras, just in the room. Of us who 12 people are here right now, can anybody give me 1 or 2 reasons, show me a justification that baby daddy has a positive connotation? All right, you can think something positive of it.
The best way I could answer that question, as a father, and I've been called that in the past, I would say straight up, it depends on which lens you're looking through, because each of us here have different lens, and we're in different parts of life. And some folks may see it as an identity thing. Yeah, this is my baby mama there, that's my baby daddy. Is that positive? It may not be positive to our group in no way, shape, or form, but in another group, it may be the norm. And let me say this, ghetto is not a location, it's a mindset. So we see it on social media, we see it on these TV shows that they have where these things are being mentioned. Now, am I saying it's positive? I can confirm here, it is not positive, it is not uplifting, but at this point, I would say I can't say nothing positive about it, but it depends on which lens you're looking through.
Mr. Rohan, just to chime in onto what you said, and I think that this is the whole thing of this is the direction of where we're going with the baby daddy and the baby mama thing, is that it's a negative thing. And somehow there's a society out there, or within our own society, that we seem to normalize these things. And again, like Mr. Menard say, maybe it's a self-esteem thing that we do. And just by us going around calling each other the N-word and stuff like that, and then calling someone baby daddy, because that's belittling, a father, to call him a baby daddy. I think that's just something that probably a mother would use when she's upset at the dad, and somehow we find a way to normalize that, and we are normalizing the negative things in our society, and I think that's what we need to stop. And at least us in this room, we should be a light out there to other fathers, and let them know, hey, you should not accept being called a baby daddy.
I'm not sure how you're able to change that, though, because I kind of feel like that it may be a generational thing as well. Because, I'm an old head, but when I see some of the younger people in their late teens, early 20s, they seem to be the ones who adopt that terminology more readily than some of us older folk. So I'm not exactly sure how you would affect that generationally, unless Oprah gets on and says, just like she said, we shouldn't be saying niggas to people. She need to get on and say we shouldn't be saying baby daddy or baby mama, and then maybe stuff will change. I don't know. Somebody up top needs to drive that down, and I don't know who up top is worthy enough for them to listen to.
I think it's also a labeling issue also. Gone are the days of the traditional courting to get to know you, to get into a relationship, to lead to marriage. So you are a father before you have these kids, and you're a mother before you have these kids. You know what I'm saying? So you're in a position to be a father or a mother, I should say, before you have kids. Gone is that tradition. And so when in my opinion, of course, let me say that, in my opinion, when you're looking at that structure and you think father, mother, you usually think, oh, they're married, because that's the father, that's the mother. Well, what if you're not married and you have no relationship? I got to find something to call you. And so I think that's also part of it, is the lack of ability to properly label the person on the other end eh, when you can, by just calling them the father of my child and the mother of my child. But someone's always looking for that different thing to call you because of the inability, like deadbeat dad. It's kind of taking the place of a deadbeat dad, right? Because when you were a father who didn't take any responsibility, didn't do anything for your kids, didn't show up, they called you a deadbeat dad. Now they just call you a baby daddy. So it's kind of like they're replacing terminology in a way, but still, why? You don't need to replace it. Leave deadbeat dad where it is, and just call the person who's actively in your child in the child's life the father of your child.
Right. I like that. I like that. This is a very good topic that Ron chose. At first, when I first heard it, I'm like,
I didn't choose it.
When I heard it, I'm like, okay, but now I see where it's so deep. But let's look at it this way. We have two different individuals. We have what's called the actor. The actors are someone who's acting. And let's do this. It's their, as Fritz said, their norm. What is their norm? You see, everyone has their norm. And that is where these terms come in. It's normal for them to say that. It's a baby daddy community. You got to look at the whole picture. Can it as Mr. Ten that he mentioned, maybe someone up top or someone who they look towards can change these terms. This is a challenging one. But it can be done, and we need to change people's norms, because we know in the society today, anger is a norm. Anger is a norm. These feelings, these emotions are just like the river, just constantly flowing in our society. And well, I would say to everyone, we start with us, and maybe, who knows, it will catch on. We'll do a YouTube video, do something. Maybe it will catch on.
Listen. This conversation we're having right now, it was crystal clear when I asked the question, and we could hear a Fritz birds chirping in the background. That no one could come up with the clear answer of, yeah, what's the positive of it. So if we take on that same influence, people watching this video right now, if you like it and you sharing this video, make sure you like it and you share and you subscribe so you can hear some more of this good content of stuff that we're talking about. But I think a big part of that is seeing enough people who say that this is not what they're endorsing and they're not going to allow. And even going back to what Eddie said, Ed said something that was good. If we're going to use it, this is going to be our thing. And we're not going to let other people use it. We're not going to let it go outside of our little secret culture. But if we're not, what happens? It goes out, and then people use it, and then it only represents us on the negative. It represents them on the human, the comedic, or the jokey joke, and it has various serious consequences for us long term, for reality, our reality terms. It's not like a ha ha ha. Like, I don't joke. My daughter's mother, I don't joke about her being a baby mom. Because I don't see her as that. She's the mother of my child. Now, because I see her as a mother, because also that the other part is also the language part of this that we got to put up, the way the verb is in the noun. And so what comes first, the mother of my child or my baby's mama? I just want you to look at, let's look at this and really break it down. Because what I'm saying is, yeah, I got a baby with this chick or that person. Whereas other than I'm saying, here is the woman who has had my child. And that's the person that, this woman has had my child, compared to this chick with who got possession of my baby. And it can come off many different ways. But to be positive and to keep a positive aspect for us as a people and for us as fathers. I think that who gets hurt from this more is fathers. Because, like I think you said it earlier, this is just a more slicker term to say deadbeat dad. When you go if you go to child support and the person be like, "Are you a baby daddy?" who they supposed to be talking to me like that? No, that's not professional. That's not correct. You ask me, am I the father of the child? Not ask me if I'm a baby dad. What's a baby dad? What is that? I don't even know what that is.
So I have a question. Since some of the children that have been born out of, how can I say,
wedlock. It's wedlock.
Out of wedlock, but even more than that, yes, out of non-serious. Brother Robert was talking about relationships and
non-committal relationships.
Yeah, you have children born out of these situations. How do you get the parents to not abdicate their responsibility or role if the relationship itself brought forth a child that wasn't even serious? I just wanted to have sex. You got pregnant.
All right, so Ed, you about to take us into another. Hey, listen, Ed about to take us on a U-turn here, where we're about to go to, my favorite term, non-consensual fatherhood. Whereas the only control you have over having a child is only control as a man that you have is that you ensure that you don't ejaculate inside the woman. That's it. Other than that, you have zero control over anything else that's gonna happen. Because once your semen is gone into the canal, it does no longer belong to you. And at that point, the mother can make a decision on what they will do. They can say, "This ain't a good fit for me, so I'm going to take the plan B." Or they can wait a little while and say, "I think about it. You know what? I don't feel some kind of way, so I'm going to have this baby." So this kind of gets into this whole abortion conversation that is going on now. Even though we're not even really thinking about it in that concept. We're having a little conversation about the word baby daddy. But we look at this is so much bigger than this, because what is happening with people who are out here just having random sex and unprotected random sex at that, and I watch it every day on Paternity Court. Most of the people on there, they Paternity Court or on any of these court shows, they just kind of just have random sex, and the next thing they had a baby. And it's been, I think, you almost might be saying this, it's been normalized.
I guess what I'm also saying is that if the sexual relationship that led to this baby was non-serious, trivial, just for pure pleasure and sexual fulfillment and enjoyment, 9 months later there's a child. It's not the child's fault, but there's a child. I don't know. Does it make sense that because of the arena that child was born in, that they become baby daddies or baby mamas? Mm-hmm. The relationship wasn't serious enough for them to accept fatherhood or accept motherhood. There's just a scenario where two people had coitus and now there's a baby, and that was it. So I don't know.
I'm gonna chime in on that one, because I always say this, unless you were fooled into it, right? Unless you made a willing decision to lay down. You made the willing decision to do what you did unprotected, right? Now you can't then say, well, I didn't think she was going to get pregnant, but you did all the acts of getting her pregnant. So you then can't step back and say, well, now that she's pregnant, I have to absolve myself from anything, because you're the one who's pregnant. No. When that occurs, you as a man have to step up and take the responsibility. And I understand 100% where Ron's coming from with the unconsensual fatherhood, because it is up to the woman's decision whether or not you do become a father when that situation happens. But if the decisions are taken for you to become a father, you have to step up. You have to do what you need to do. Now, I'm not saying that you need to enter into a relationship with the woman, but I'm just saying you need to enter a relationship with that child, because the woman is not gonna need you as much as that child is gonna need you. And
but,
the child's gonna need
I
both
agree.
of you guys.
I agree. It's just that when what I have seen culturally is that these two people, they get together, they have a baby, all of a sudden, one of them realizes, this ain't really what I signed up for, and their attitude is, that's my baby mama. That's all that is.
Well, let me add real quick. Here we are. We are human beings. I believe plants are attracted to plants, and human beings are attracted to human beings. We are designed to reprocreate. Now, the circumstances or the situation in which we reprocreate varies. The reality is that we have laws of the land, and we have laws of nature, of humanity, where we do things, and sometimes the outcome does not go in our favor. We know that sex is sold. It is used to manipulate. It is used to take down kings and queens. The Bible talks about that. Now, is there an answer? We as wise men here over the years have learned by experience, and sometimes we got a child through certain circumstances too. We are able to communicate with the younger fathers of how to deal with these situations. But remember, I mentioned, we are designed to reprocreate. How we reprocreate, if I could write a book on that, I'll probably be rich, or could share that knowledge. But in reality, we are going to continue doing reprocreation. The thing that I advocate for is that we get training. If we all take the time to come on this fatherhood talks, tell your friends, tell your coworker, these fatherhood program or fatherhood talks will empower you to deal with these situations as they go. Whether before you, what Ron mentioned, ejaculate, or after you ejaculate, we're here for you.
This guy.
Hey,
you're right, but listen, you're right, Rohan, you're right, because I think it's important that there is a solution to it. There is a way to fix some of these things. If you continue to do the same thing and say that it's good and it's all right, then it's called insanity. When it's not good, when it's not the right way. I mean, look. We can argue all we want about, what I'm going to get and what control I have over the relationship. I think in the past, we know that today, we're talking about the modern culture, no one feels any obligation. In the old days, guys would feel obligated. I was on a call with a guy yesterday where the obligation was immediately that he needs to marry that person, right? Because they was having relations with them, and then now they need to get married to them. And in many instances, people got married because you hear people ask them how long they've been married. They say, "Oh, we've been married 28 years." They say, "Hey, how old is your son?" "Oh, he's 28." So clearly, unless they just jump from marriage and got right on it, most of the time you see that many of us historically, people would get pregnant and say, "Hey, I need to step in the role, and we need to be husband and wife, and we need to raise a family." We don't have that today. People don't care nothing about that. People have lost that value system. But I think some of it is also on the other end. Some of that value system is not honest. Because back in the day, there's some people who do stuff that we know that is not correct. There are people out there who might be out here. Listen, what was the thing Drake had did recently? Put the hot sauce in the in the condom. After he took the condom off and left it in the bathroom, the girl came in and tried to use it and then got burnt in her vagina. Because listen, understand this. He did everything he was supposed to do the correct way in having those sexual relationships with that young lady. She was trying to do something else. And it's a shame that you would have to do something like that. But this is the society we live in today. So it really goes back to us and talk about, forget fatherhood. Let's talk about man, being a man, a manhood. We have to be accountable for our sexual activity. We have to now, we can't just free ball everything we think we want to do. We have to think about what the consequences are. Because that, if we don't think about the consequences, we could end up with 4 and 5, 6, 7. I mean, we can end up like, what's the boy name? What's the guy name?
I know you're talking. Eddie Murphy?
No, not. That's a good one. He example.
Eddie Murphy got about 6 or 7 kids.
But we're talking about the present day. Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon.
People are glamorizing the idea that Nick Cannon. But guess what? You guys ain't got Nick Cannon money.
Nope.
Hold on. I gotta let's hold the brakes right here. You heard what you just said just now. They don't have Nick Cannon money. If we know that, let's be real. If they were to take away taxes, and say, you're not getting no taxes for no baby, would people have baby? Think about what's happening here. We are dealing with a lot of situations where people are looking at the money involved. I'm going to have a child with this guy because he has money. They're not talking about raising the child. They're not talking about advocating for the child. He has money. My rent's going to be paid. I don't have to work. I'm good to go, as they say. And these norms are becoming these shows on TV and so on television and the what I call the fantasist lifestyle is becoming the norm.
But there's nothing wrong with it. Listen, Rohan, it's nothing wrong with that if you're willing to be a wife to that man. Matter of fact, you ready? You ready? I'm gonna give you one even better. In Africa, in many countries, in Asia, and also I would say Arabic countries, right? These people have multiple wives, right? They have multiple wives.
They can afford it. They can afford it.
Right. This is the point I'm saying. They have those wives. They take care. But guess what they do? They take care of those wives, and those wives play the roles that they need to play in that. We live in too modern a country. Ain't nobody doing that, yo.
Hold on here.
No, people not listen. The people that are practicing some of these polygamy and those things, they're only doing it for sex. A lot of times, they're not for real about developing and growing as a family and being. They're not doing it for real. This is all just I can have 2 women. Oh yeah, you can have 2 women anyway. But are you going to take care of those 2 women? Are you going to? Because guess what? In reference of that idea of becoming that type of family, you'll take care of them. They might say, I'm modern, I want to work, and then that money comes into your household and that supports your family and your household and all the 6, 7 to 8 kids y'all have, right? The 3 of y'all got 7 to 8 kids. Guess what? No one can bother that. Nobody can say anything because you're a father to your kids, your husband to your wives, or whatever. But the problem we have is no one is willing to do that. We're just going out here practicing a non-sanctioned, and I would say many times a non-sanctioned polygamy kind of relationships. Because you see in these cultures that we go into, the guy has babies from cousins and the same people, all this, and then he's not taking care of any of them.
Right, Ron.
He's not taking care of them because he can't. He don't know how to take care of them. And sometimes they do take care of them. You just don't know what's going on.
I want to say 2 things on that. One, going back to Rohan, with your statement of the woman looking for a man to take care of them. You have to remember that's not new.
Right.
That's how it used to be. Now, the way they're searching for these men is different and wrong. That I'll say. But the whole idea that you want to get married and have a man take care of you and you're the housewife, that was a structure that was there back in the day, where you wanted to be someone's good wife. You see what I'm saying? A wife to somebody and treat them a certain way. So that's just a new twist to an old saying.
Well, to respond to you, Robert, and I don't want to take up all the space.
No,
we know child support. Child support exists today. It's an institution that that's in many of our pockets. Many men today owe child support or will owe it when they die. And what we know here, if women would like to be taken care of, nothing is wrong with that. It's a part of the culture. But we know that raising a child, if I write a check for $700 a month and say, child support, take that $700, you take your cut, give the mom her share of the money. Mom goes and buy a Infinity. Yeah, who's taking care of the child? You see, these are the child. Anyways, let me step back.
Right. Okay. So, but for me, when you say that, everything is born out of necessity, right? There had to be necessity. If men were doing what they had to do, now we say this a lot of times. If as a father, you talk to the mother of that child, you won't see child support. You won't be put on child support because you worked something out with that mother. You were able to parent and work alongside that mother. Oftentimes, and I'm not saying that all women are using it properly. I think some women are, yes. You have some people who are vindictive who do it out of spite. But that is such a, I think, I don't have the numbers. I think that's a small pocket compared to the majority, right? And I think that the necessity for child support was raised because you had a lot of people who weren't stepping up to just do the bare minimum of being a father. And that was not even buying simple things for the child. Now, here's the thing. I agree with you where some people use it wrongly. And yes, that is an issue. But it's all a matter of how you go back to deal with that person on the other end. And then you have to also say and I think this is the and I'm going to go off a little tangent, but this is the thing that a lot of guys don't understand, that when I'm going to have some sexual relationships with this woman and I'm not going to use any protection, right? Yes, she looks good at the moment, but is she going to look good for 18 years? And that's the mindset you have to deal with when you're thinking about going in and sleeping with these women, is you take the chance of having to deal with them for the next 18 years.
Well, yeah, they're more than 18 years now, Robbie. You got to deal with them for the rest of
18 years is what you have to deal with them directly if they have, again, paying the child support and everything else that they do that to you. Okay. But after that, it's just you and the child who has that relationship going forward. Mm-hmm. So you see what I'm saying? So, that's something that you need to.
Listen, I have to speak for my father. Listen, I always go, that I hear you, and I'm going to always, and I'm a strong father's rights advocate. Mm-hmm. And a part of that means that I have some issues in reference to this culture that is like, I believe that the percentage of deadbeat and is very, very little. And a large majority of those who are really deadbeats are people that these people have relationships with. Listen, you measure. I think Rohan says all the time, people in feelings and emotions is what causes a large majority of the deadbeat culture. Because, and even if people were reasonable, I think that men, I believe that men are reasonable. We're rational most of the time. We think rationally about things. Most men I've seen who've got a woman pregnant that they didn't want to be with, they have come to the idea that, hey, let's work out some kind of plan with this and that. And I found that the woman wasn't rational about that. She sometimes had another plan and idea of what she wanted to occur. It was not willing to cooperate and collaborate on it.
Ron, let me mention, it was never, the expectations was never stated in the beginning. You see, you have expectations that are expected of the other party, but it was not stated. Mm. So we got to look at that too. The expectation that is the norm, where you're my boyfriend, you're my girlfriend. But by the way, I need you to work 2 jobs. Oh, no, better yet, I need you to provide for me and my mama and my auntie, and oh, by the way, and the child. So those expectations need to be stated up front, but it's not being stated.
A lot of these,
you know what, the expectations have to be on both ends too. You know, and I agree with that, Rohan. The expectations have to be also on not only the side of the man, but not only the side of the woman, I should say, but the side of the man. And I think you have to be a little bit more stringent on what your expectations are. And there's no, you know, I don't want you to feel like I'm putting all the responsibility onto the male, so to speak, because it's a 50-50 thing. Relationships are 50-50.
Right.
You have to have someone on the other end in order for it to happen. But I can only speak for the like brother, like he's not here tonight, but Brother Lightborn would say, I can only speak for the control of myself, not the control of the other person. Right. And so, you know, what I was saying earlier was just the aspect of a relationship that we can control and we have to take ownership of. And
that's
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's a very mature way of dealing with that issue. However,
right.
I happen to think that a large majority of these quote unquote baby mamas and baby daddies do not have the wherewithal to be able to act in wisdom as you have just stated. I don't think that's happening. I think the reason why they're called a baby mama or a baby daddy is because they lack the maturity, the wisdom to be able to say, oh man, you know, I really enjoyed our moment, but, you know, I wasn't looking for this to be no relationship. You know, you're pregnant. Listen, what can I do to help? I don't think that conversation ever occurs. You pregnant?
Well, it does occur because someone's going to pay the bill. Who's going to pay the bill?
No, but Ron, listen to what Eddie is talking about. Almost in my mind, this emotional intelligence that people don't have to be able to get what occurs and say, hey, because even when you do it, because listen, we have married couples. I get so excited about this because we have married couples who made an agreement to be together, to have kids, and then it erupts into the same thing with people who didn't do any of that. So it's our human nature for that. It ain't like, oh, well, they special. Those people special. We have people who have 20 years of everything together, and then all of a sudden that erupts and they turn like this is the sourest person in the world. And that might, you know, that is what it is. So the idea of this is being able to, how do we do what's, and you know what I'm going to say, do what's best for the children. Let's do what's best for the child. And I know that at that moment, for both the woman and the man, the baby is a major high stress point that neither one of them are ready for. And that's one of the big parts that we forget. And then they got people in their ear telling them to do this and do. They're not spending any time together. And I continue to say this, that people do kind of put their arms around women when they get pregnant. Everyone kind of put their arms around them. And I've said for us as fathers, people don't do anything. They put their finger at them and tell them, you better go get a job. They may start telling you what you better go do and how you better do that. Instead of putting your arms around that person and saying, we're here for you.
You know, and also the first question, you sure it's yours?
Well, but that's a legitimate
it's a legitimate question.
Listen, Robert, that might sound like it's not good, but that's a
it's a very legitimate question.
It's a tough
question. That's you know, and I'm gonna say, you know, and I'm gonna say this, but because the mindset is, if she slept with you so quickly, who else did she sleep with quickly? You see what I'm saying? And so that's why you get that question: is it really yours? You know, and so it's you plant that seed of doubt, and that's also what leads to that mindset. Because once you plant the seed of doubt, then the person's gonna be like, nah, I'm not gonna be dealing with this. Nah, that's not my kid. I'm not even gonna worry about taking care of this kid.
Vice versa.
You see what I'm saying?
Vice versa, because the 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 feeling of someone who you only had sex with, and I know women say this all the time, that you would even imply that I would do something that low down or this and that. And in many cases, that again talks to this fear and stress that people have when this occurs, because they're not ready.
Yeah.
Listen, people who are married who decide to have children have the same kind of stress, and they're not really that ready. They're not that they're ready. They read books, they did all these things, but they're still dealing with the anxiety that comes with we're about to have a kid, and how are we going? Are we good enough to have a kid? So imagine these people who are planned and prepared, who are still not so ready and have to work, compared to somebody who just when they have a nice hump in the pump, and now somebody calling them and sending them the pregnancy test saying, "Hey, you my baby daddy now." Huh? What happened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, Ron.
Yes.
I know of a guy who was dating this girl. She had one kid prior to them dating, so it wasn't his. Then the mother had 4 other children. Come to find out, all 4 of them were not his. So you're talking about 5 kids, none of them his.
Oh well, Mr. Thomas, it goes back to what we say. You have to verify. The poor guy. You have to verify these days, man. You have to verify. You got to make sure who's at that door.
Not these days. I think you've always had to verify. I think that's not that. I think you've always. I don't think that now is any different. I think now is more open, because I know I've heard numerous stories from people from the 50s and forward, where people thought that somebody was the kid and was the father and these things, and they weren't. And sometimes people, it was different. It's different time where people just, the father, was away at the war, but they had somehow the mom had 2 babies while the father was away at war. And it was just like, father didn't make any fuss and any issue about it, but somehow when the kids got older, they realized like, if dad was gone and if dad was in the war in 68,
hold on.
How these babies got established? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's also again, I think it's come into this idea of people being able to do what's best for the kids. And I think in those kind of cases, the mothers and fathers make a decision to do what's best for the kids. We live in a society today where everybody's thinking about what's best for me. It's all about me. What's best, what I want. What about what I want, what I need? Oh, how I'm going to look. But again, I don't think that's a good way to parent, because if you're worrying about you all the time, there's no way you could be preparing your child for the future that they got to have.
Right.
Because your life is almost over at this point. You don't live your life. You got to be pouring into them. Hopefully they don't pick up the bad learned behaviors that you have.
So we have some comments. Let me read the comments real fast, Rohan, and I'll get to you. Donald Jones Jr. says this all stems from a lack of self-control with both people. Also, it goes back to the generation before the parents. To have a child and have sex is to make a choice. Now, whether that choice is good or bad falls on the people in the act of making the baby. We also have another comment. That's from Gloria Bailey Ray that says both parties need to discuss what others' expectation is before they jump in bed and deal with the issues afterwards. Lay the groundwork first. That's a two-way street. If the man is willing to jump, if the man is willing to jump, a woman's one's on the first night.
Excellent comment. I must say, I to that lady who just made that.
So Ron, back to your original topic. Is there justification to call someone a baby mama or a baby daddy?
Justification? I mean, I see it only as what we're looking at, as something that is being used to desensitize that other person from the baby that I want to. And okay, you know what? I thought about that, and as I'm thinking about it, the only positive part I can think of this is that the person is recognizing their child in it. That's it. It is the idea that I want to have a recognition of my child. So I will recognize my child. My child becomes the first part. That is my baby's daddy. So first possession is my baby, and the dad is secondary, something out there. My baby's mother. I want to belong to my baby, but I don't care nothing about the back end of this. I'm pulling a string. I'm pulling some strings, but I'm looking at it.
Ron, I like you put that. I think that's to some extent explains what the issues we have today. It explains the issues that continues. That is unfortunately that is brought from generations to generations. We know as men, as we get wiser, we learn these things. We know what we did when we were 20, what we did when we were 30, 40, and 50 changes. We know women go through menopause, men go through andropause. We know there are many things that happens to the human body as we go along this journey. And I wish I could, there was a magic wand we could say, okay, don't do this when you're 30, don't do this when you're 20, but it's just, man, maybe it's just nature. Maybe it's just nature within us. We're just nature, and we just need to be taught. We need to be trained. We need to be open to be trained. In fact, we need to teach in schools about pregnancy. We need to open up back those areas. We need to talk about things like that, relationships. We teach maths, we teach English, sociology, but some of the things that we need is not being even taught in schools.
You're talking about a cycle, though, and that's what the issue is. It's not that you're being taught; it's just that the cycle continues to make itself. It continues to go round, right? I'm gonna go back because my sister's son, right? My nephew, I should say, my nephew.
See, went to see. You equated first to your sister,
right?
Son. So who you have the most in common with? Who are you connecting with first? Your sister.
Sister, because she told me the story. So I was like, because the way she told it to me, but I get what you're saying. So I'm gonna say, so she comes back and he comes home from class and he says, you're the kids in the class kept asking, was my sister his grandmother? And he's like, no, that's my mom. Now, my sister doesn't look her age. My sister looks young. So to ask her that now just shows that the cycle of the people that are around him, because all the grandmothers are in their 40s or in their 50s within that classroom, versus my sister who's in that age bracket, right? But she's not a grandmother, she's an actual mother. So for the kids in the classroom, that's not normal. That's my grandmother's age, not my mom's age. So gone is a cycle where the grandmothers were actually, 50, 60 and above, and now they're more 30, 40, 50. And so as that cycle continues to perpetuate itself, that's why you're going to get it where you until you break that cycle, you're not going to break anything else, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but you have to first break that cycle of kids having kids, and teaching that it starts in the home. It doesn't start in the school. It starts with the values and beliefs in the home, not at school. And
it's a long road. It's a long road. We've got
and listen, it's a long road, but I think we're going to be soldiers to push that. I think one of the biggest issues is having a group of people that push the narrative. I think right now what we have is no one willing to say anything, and if they are, they got to say it on somebody's side. I'm only on one side. I'm on the father's side. And being on the father side, that means that I'm on the family side. So I'm not here to say anybody bad, anybody good. I'm here to say that I want to see families. I want to see families being successful. I want families to be good, because that's the only way we're going to survive as a people. Having families, the families turn into communities, community turn into state and country and all that. But it really starts with us advocating for that. And again, being able to have conversations where we even open up our mind. As I say that, if people are watching, if you've been watching, please make sure you like, share, subscribe so you can get more of this. And then for fathers who may be watching, who say, I want to have a little bit more in-depth conversation about this, you can definitely join us tomorrow in our private fathers group that we have on Wednesday night. There's two parts to this, and I know I didn't say so much about it in the beginning, but we have this part to really kind of like share to the world and everybody that we have these kind of conversations, and really kind of let both men, women, mothers, grandfathers, everybody kind of hear what we're kind of having a conversation about, only so we can have a more intimate conversation tomorrow night in our Zoom meeting with just the fathers, talking about topics related to this and similar to. And we do this, because the only way that we can begin to change the narrative is to have those conversations. I mean, we can have the conversation to ourselves and feel some way. And I tell people this all the time. I could go outside and get a sign and say, I disagree with stuff. People are going to say, that's a crazy man. Right? But if I get about 20, 30 other people go out there with me, they can't say that's a bunch of crazy people, because it's enough people who all have a same feeling, and people will listen to what we have to say. That's how I'm going to give you great example. That's how your boys be doing it. The Israelites, they show up with 20, 25, 30 people in purple, and you feel kind of like you got to listen to what they're saying. All of them can be wrong, but even though you talk to them, you figure out that's just whatever religion thing. But it's just that culture of they're all saying this, and they're letting that person give to us what their knowledge is and whatever it is. And people begin. That's gotta be good for them, because they recruit. No way you can have 25 people and the next day you have 50 people. So something is saying resonance with those people, and they get. And so I'm saying for us and fathers, we have way more fathers out here. We can be from any race, denomination, culture, but it doesn't change that we're all still fathers. And we all face that same anxiety of when we first know that there's an egg being developed into a zygote, and it transferred to embryo, and then now you have and this whole thing occurs. It has an effect on us, because we may not feel it in our stomach and in our uterus, but we do feel it in our head. It stays with us at all times that this is a new development of ours that's going to be a part of our legacy and who we are. And if we don't do something about it, what ends up happening? So again, I'm so glad that we were able to hopefully just shed a little bit of light on some of this conversation. We will probably continue some of this tomorrow in our private fathers group, but you can also go, people out there watching, and have the same kind of conversation with your people, because this is the purpose of this. It's not for us just to get up here and hear ourselves talk. So hopefully that will spark you to have some conversation. As we come to that, are there any final questions? I see there's some stuff in the chat. Robert, you want to read the other stuff that was in the chat? And then if anybody has any last minute things they want to say and last comments, we'll take those before we get out of here at our 8:35 time.
All right. So the comments are there, but saying, okay, so the first one was back towards when we're talking about baby mamas. It says, but saying that my baby daddy or my baby mamas, what message are you sending? And then a second follow-up to that was women were having kids during slavery and even after slavery let me read that again, I apologize. So women were having kids back during slavery and even after slavery. For the longest time, we're told to have babies early. Women are more career focused and waiting much later to have children.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back at that, I'm going to comment on that, because when you look back at the purpose of having kids, even when it came to having kids early, back in the day, women had multiple kids because it was agriculturally sound, right? What I mean by agriculturally sound is you needed hands to help you on the farm. And so
Right.
women were having a lot more kids back then, and having them at an earlier age, because they would have, and also have them back to back, because of the fact that you needed a hands to help build the farm and work on the farm, to help out around the farm. And so yeah, that is one of the reasons why you'll find that women were told to have kids at an earlier age, but it still didn't change the dynamic of the household within the wife supporting the husband, and also taking on some of the duties on. So the dynamics of the household didn't change as far as what was expected. And that goes back to what we we're talking about with Rohan, and a woman, in my opinion, a woman going in and wanting to have someone take care of them, but they have to understand the role that they're going to play when that does occur, right? Because a lot of times women, I think with this day and age, there are a lot of women who think that it's going to be glitz and glamour, because I get to, I have a man who's going to be giving me all this money, and I'm going to be able to do everything I want. But expectations from the guy is what you have to understand in any situation. So your expectations could be one thing, but the person who's on the other end has their own expectations of what this relationship is going to look like and what this relationship is going to be. And so you have to understand that the dynamics that are going on is what's really what you have to get a hold of.
I'm glad you brought that up. And real quick, because I know we're on the time. I date women different ages and so forth. And one thing I always say to these women when I meet these ladies, I say this very clear: learn to control your money. And here's why. If you date a man, or a man date a woman, and she or he gives you money, 90% of the time that person wants control. And she says to me, well, what are you talking about? That's the norm. I said, but you go to work every day, right? And you clock in, you clock out, and that company has some control of you. That's why they pay you. So many times I would say to many families, and as I see the norm today, where in broad content more women earn more than men. And what's happening now, the paradigm is shifting in the sense that I don't need a man. I have my career, I have my Lexus, sorry, I have my expensive car. Let me not say that. Read that, please. Okay, I have my expensive car, I have my apartment. Really and truly, what's happening today? Career, my luxury car, my apartment. Why do I really need a man? In fact, why do I need to have kids? Maybe 80 years ago, I had to have kids because I was told to go into a family, have kids, and that was the norm. But today, I don't need to have kids. I have the car, the apartment, and the career. Food for thought.
Anybody else? Okay, nobody else. I can quickly just say this. Robert, you did speak about this, and the first thing I thought about is the roles that we play. A lot of these roles have, an issue of what people want versus what they're doing. Everybody, and we know that there's a shortage in men for women in the Black community. Let's just say that there's a shortage of men for women in the Black community, right? So if there is this shortage, most women will want to have what the fairy tale has told them: have a husband, have kids, do these things, blah, 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 blah. But what ends up happening is you also have this world of modern women who the idea of that completely contradicts this idea of what you wanted in the traditional. The modern and traditional, I would say they can go together, but they have to be worked out together. They don't just go together, because you're going to say, oh, I want the man to take care of me. I want to feel he's doing these things. Now, allegedly, let me know, because I know that it's changed every day with people saying they want. I want my husband to work and provide, take care of me, the children. But I still want to go to work. So who's gonna be taking care of the children? Oh, we can get a babysitter for that. Get a nanny. So then who cleaning the house if I'm working? Oh, so you start looking at how this thing works out to change the dynamics. And that becomes that I don't know how much that becomes a problem for people, but it doesn't become ideal when you're working from either a traditional or modern lens. You can't say you want this modern lens, but then you want it to work out traditional. I mean, I hear the point that many women who are very successful, who make money, they want a man who has make money equal to them. Listen, first off, there's a shortage of men, period, in your community. And then you think that you're gonna get the man. There's only a couple of these dudes who making this money more than you, because the system is not set up like that. You go to the workplace, I'm in many workplaces, I might be the only black guy who works there. What does that say in that business mindset? What does that say? And how does that play itself out? So, I know that a lot of stuff that people may want, and we might figure that we want to try to have, we have to sit down and I think that the person who was commenting, Gloria, said it, that people need to sit down and figure out what they're going to do, how they're going to do before they try to have these kids. Because you can be modern all you want and not have kids, and then it would never affect anybody. You'll just be a person living your modern life, and when you die, you would not have affected anybody. What happened? But what happens is, when we're having these kids, and these kids are being affected by whatever behavior parents were doing, that's what's causing the problem in our communities. When you ask a kid how many kids are grown, who they grow up with. They grew up with their grandma. Their grandma is 80 years old. Their grandma teaches them a certain value, but their mom is right there doing what? These things can't. We have a whole, as I would say, when we're looking at this word, that's my baby daddy, we have to assist that we want to change our community. We have to assist. And it should come from us as the fathers, as the men. We can't let the women decide they're going to change the community, because that's not how it operates. They can say all they want, but we have to be the one. Listen, let's say this old saying that was said to me, and it should always be said to me. If you want 100% of your family to go to church, the father got to go. Because ain't nobody staying home if he go to church. But if he don't go to church, you can get people to stay home with dad. And then next thing you know, you got two people, whatever, one person going to church. So fathers, as much as we don't want to acknowledge, have to lead the families. And that means you got to be accountable, responsible, and step up to lead our families. And not be and leading is not just leading our children, it's also leading the mama of the baby. Even when you don't want to, you might still have to lead it. So that, and it could be a lot of stress and strain. You might lose your hair, it might turn gray, but it'd be for the best in the end if you lead your family, your married family, your put together family. Just lead, and they might not listen to you at first, but in the long run, they'll listen to you, because if you lead as a man should be, they will follow.
Well said.
And let me say this, Ron, just real quick. I'll do a plug, because if you don't know how to lead, join us on Wednesday nights. That's join us on Wednesday nights. Right. We will talk about it. We will discuss it. We will walk you through it, because it has to be a habit.
Right. And it won't be it won't be about what you don't have. It's being able to look at the stuff you do have and to build on that. Because what you don't have, you might not never have. but you can work with the stuff you do have. And that's the big part of what we talk about. All right. So with that being said, we've reached our time. It's 8:35. We did a nice 90 minutes. Folks, we want to thank everybody again. If you watch this and when you watch it, please subscribe, like, and share. We're trying to come every week to give you. Last week's show will be up as soon as we get it from the provider, and it will really be good to look at. It was a Brother Lightborn and his wife had did a co-parenting session. So we're just waiting to get that session video back from them. We'll be putting it in that section. Really good conversation. And then I think, what's our next group for next week? Am I supposed to know? Ask the people. I should know.
Was it Papa's a Rolling Stone?
Yeah. And so next week we have our next group. Next group next week is Papa Was a Rolling Stone. And just we're gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna leave it to that. Let your mind wonder about what that is. But Papa was a Rolling Stone. And with that case, for some of you fathers, we maybe see you tomorrow. You will see the don't worry, you'll see the as you look, you'll see the Zoom link to come in tomorrow's group tomorrow night if you are interested. Other than that, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all the fathers who participated tonight. Thank you guys for being on here. And I'll tell everybody good night. See you next week.
All right.
Oh, did we supposed to do the chant? Yeah,
the chant.
You know what? Listen, yeah, you got. Hey, you guys got to remind me of that. I get all right, guys, repeat after me. I am. I am a man of honor.
I am a man of honor.
I am. I am a man of courage.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of respect.
I am a man of respect.
Come on, guys, you can do it. I
am.
I say that you are.
You are.
I say that we are.
We are.
Championship
fathers. There we go. Say it out loud.
And when people see us, I just want to let you know, when you see us do like this, it's not that we're flexing our muscles, it's that we're holding our children on our arms. And it's important to know that. We're not here to flex, we're here to hold our children up. So again, everybody, thank you and good night.
Good night.
Peace out, brothers.